Hello, my name is Joanna Chang. I'm a senior at the University of Maryland College Park, majoring in cell biology and molecular genetics.
As a Korean American 1.5 generation student, what was the first major challenge you faced while adjusting to school life in the US?
The first major challenge that I faced in the United States was making friends. Coming to a whole new foreign country was very difficult, but also adjusting to the cultural differences was very difficult for me. A brief overview, I came to the United States when I was in second grade, and I didn't really know how to speak English. Though I did study English a little bit in Korea, it was not to the point where I can have a day-to-day conversation with people. And when I first came in second grade, the county I was in thankfully had a lot of Korean members already. And in second grade, I had a few Korean American friends who taught me the American culture as well as English because they understood Korean and they were able to understand what I was saying, and they were able to speak English to me, and I was able to practice speaking English to them. In third grade, however, I moved my county. So I went to Anne Arundel County, and in Anne Arundel County, there is a lower Korean population. And the school that I went to, I was the only Korean, and I was also the only Korean student. Because of this, I think I had to learn and force myself to learn this English language and learn this new language. And I remember taking something called ESOL, where I was removed from my regular classroom, and they would give me a Korean English dictionary as well as an English dictionary, where I would look up a word I don't know, and then I would find the Korean word, and if I knew, I'm like, yay, I know that word. But if I didn't know that word in Korean, I would search it up on Google to identify what that word meant, or go to the English dictionary to find the definition, and then realize, oh, I don't know what this definition or this word in this definition means. Let me go and search it up again. So that cycle is something I had to repeat a lot to learn this new language. Another thing I had to do was I would watch TV for a pretty long time, but I would recite what the actors and the actresses are saying so that my pronunciation is correct, so that my friends can understand what I am saying. Another thing is I would get a lot of these second grade, third grade level books, and I would rewrite what they said to practice my English, practice my grammar, but also get to learn the cultural and the historical aspects of America so that I have something to talk about with my friends. Finding a community in the United States was difficult because I had a different childhood experience as the kids. I didn't grow up in America, and I didn't know what some of these things meant, and having to adjust to that was the most challenging part that I faced in the US.
During your adolescence or early years, did you ever feel the need for a mentor?
I think a mentor is very necessary for a child to develop into an adult, and a mentor is someone that I always looked up to and also always desired for. To briefly share about my family background, I come from a single parent family, and I'm also an only child. When my mom came to the US, she was an adult, and as an only child, I don't have an older sibling or my friends' sisters or brothers, older sisters and brothers to look up to or ask these questions in terms of how do I manage this? Like, how do I live, or how do I go about college or high school? And because I didn't have someone that I can look up to or learn from, I think I always wanted a mentor. And because of this, I resorted to speaking with adults a lot in my adolescent years. And one person that I want to recognize is actually my second grade teacher, Miss Griffin. Second grade was my first year in America, and she was my first teacher in America. And back then, as a young kid, I was very nervous, and I wasn't confident in my English, and I was very insecure. But she was someone with so much patience, so much humility, but also someone who taught me how to persevere in my education. And one thing I want to talk about is something called a Star Student Week. I think that's what we had, where every week in each classroom, a student writes something voluntarily, and all the teachers read it and they decide, oh, let's recognize her. And the student goes up and shares their short story or what they have written, and then they get recognized for their writing assignment. I've always put in a writing assignment for Miss Griffin, and I never got chosen. And I was like, oh, my English is terrible. I wonder why I'm never getting chosen, until the last week of school, or the last week of the Star Student Week, where my paper got chosen, and Miss Griffin called me up and she was like, okay, Joanna, go and read your short story. And I stood in front of all of my second grade friends and I read my short story, and I came down and she patted me on my back and she said, good job, Joanna. And I think that was a very impactful and meaningful time for me, because it was not about recognition from my peers in terms of, hey, I am a star student, but more recognition or reassurance from Miss Griffin being like, Joanna, you put effort in all these years in writing an assignment, learning this English, adjusting to this school life in the US. Good job. I'm proud of you. And that was very meaningful for me as someone or as an individual who struggled with fitting in or adjusting to this life. And I think Miss Griffin was a mentor that I had in my academic life who has also helped me to grow and shape me into this individual I am today. And besides Miss Griffin, I had a lot of good mentors in my life, socially, spiritually, academically, and even to this day, I think I have a lot of mentors from my internships that I did. And all of my mentors, rather than focusing on getting an award or getting recognized or doing an assignment, they all taught me what it means to be a good human, a good individual. They taught me what are some characteristics that I should have in order to live life as a good, faithful human. And those are the mentors that I had in my life that I was really grateful for. And those are the mentors I hope I am able to become for the next future generation.
What has been one of the most confused or uncomfortable moments you experienced as a Korean American 1.5 generation individual?
I think one thing is an identity crisis in terms of, am I Korean or am I American? I think that's a lot of struggle that a lot of 1.5 generation students go through. And I have a few 1.5 generation student friends, and they all say the same thing in terms of, I don't know if I am Korean and I don't know if I am American. I feel like if I am with my more Korean friends, I'm too American. But if I'm with my American friends, I'm too Korean. And I'm like, okay, who am I? Where do I belong? And I think the sense of belonging has always been something that I struggled with. I think one confusing moments that have led to a lot of misunderstanding in my relationships is the use of honorifics. So, for example, the use of honorifics is calling someone 언니 or calling someone 오빠. And one confusing part is I've had conversations with people where they would say, Joanna, I think you should just call me by my first name. I think that's something I prefer. And you calling me 언니 and 오빠 it's you don't have to. And I was like, okay. So I just call people by their first names. And then in another group, I would hear from the same age group, they would be like, Joanna, why are you not calling me 언니 or 오빠? And I would be like, oh, I'm sorry. And from then, I would call them 언니 and 오빠. But having to distinguish what Korean American community I am interacting with and also what values that they have, I think deciphering that has been challenging for me in my early years because I wasn't sure which one to accommodate to. And I think that led to a lot of misunderstanding, which led to a lot of relational conflicts, but all of them has been resolved, where now I just ask, oh, do you want me to call you 언니 and 오빠, or do you just want me to call you by your first name? So I was able to manage through those challenges and through those harder conversations, but I think that is the most confusing part as a Korean American in terms of, are you Korean, are you American, or are you Korean American?
How have you felt while participating in Korean community organization, churches, or cultural events?
I actually really enjoyed and loved all my experiences at these community organizations, churches, or also these cultural events. To share a little more about cultural events, there's a few things I have participated in. So for example, in 2024, I participated in something called Asian North, where I gave a lecture on Korean cuisine to non-Koreans. There were also Koreans there too. And we just had a space for me to just share about, this is the different types of Korean cuisine, and these are the values that Koreans have about food and why it's so meaningful. This was an event where I was able to share my culture and embrace my culture, but also feel very appreciated that I have people who want to learn about my culture and my home. And these Korean community organizations have provided that opportunity, but also that environment for those conversations to come and flow. And that's something that I really appreciated. Another thing is I've also interviewed a few Korean immigrants. So these first generation population, where I was able to hear about their perspective and their history as a Korean American immigrant in Baltimore. And when I had those conversations, it was really meaningful because I wasn't aware of the discrimination that they have faced in the past or the struggles that they have faced in order to shape the community that I am living in today. They really set a really good precedent and a really good environment for me to fully embrace and take pride in my culture, but also gave me an opportunity to translate what I have learned to the younger generations in front of me. So while I am participating and volunteering at these events, not only am I filled with so much love and excitement and joy in sharing about my culture, but it is also an academic and educational opportunity for me to learn about my Korean culture. As a 1.5 generation, I don't fully understand the Korean history because I have a mixture of both. But at these events, I'm able to learn as a student and as an individual. And that's a very important thing, is to learn more about my culture and see where are some gaps that I can fill in terms of my understanding of who I am and also where my family is from. So one more thing I wanted to add was I also was a MC for a competition called Shijo Contest, where we actually had non-Koreans come and share Korean poetry or recite Korean poetry. And it was a variety of ages, where we had from like kindergarten students, I think, very like elementary school students, all the way up to seniors who are reciting Korean poetry. And I was able to be the MC to really facilitate the event. But that was a really good experience for me because it was genuinely a place where we had people from various ages, various cultures come and just share the Korean culture and just embrace it. And I think what was really cool was they were speaking Korean and they actually were like speaking Korean on like a normal basis in terms of like introducing themselves, not only reciting just for the purpose of the contest, but they prepared an introduction. They even wrote their own Korean poetry. And I was like, I never even wrote my own Korean poetry, but they are doing that too. And I think that's truly beautiful, is that America is a place where we can genuinely appreciate one another's culture. It's a place where so many cultures come, and Korea just happens to be one of the cultures that are part of it. And we're truly embracing our cultures together. I think that's really beautiful thing about America. And as a Korean American, it's really nice to see that happening in your life and witnessing that in your life.
As a college student, how are you preparing for your future career and life in society?
To just briefly share about what I hope to do, I mentioned that I am a cell bio and genetics major, and something that I really want to do is become a physician scientist, to become a doctor, but also work with research. And to prepare for this, I think usually you might expect more of an answer in terms of what internships am I doing, or what lab am I working in, or like I don't know, like what jobs are you looking for? And those are really important questions. But for today and during this time, I want to kind of focus on what are some characteristics that I am learning or I'm trying to acquire so that I can be the person and the individual that I want to be in the future that will be very influential and impactful as a physician scientist. And one thing I want to focus on is the characteristic of faithfulness and diligence. I think that also comes with resilience in academics. So currently I work in a lab, in the Roy lab at the University of Maryland College Park, where I work with understanding cell communication in the Drosophila development. And simply put, I work with flies. I work with fruit flies. And my experiments are about 7 to 8 hours per day. And I do an experiment like on Monday and on Tuesday. And I also take care of my flies. And that requires me coming into the lab sometimes at like 9 p.m. or even on the weekends to just even check the health of my flies. And all of these things are done voluntarily. And this is because I have the passion to really do well and also focus on my research project because I am pursuing my undergraduate thesis at this lab. And as I am working in this lab, I'm really learning what it means to be resilient and persevere. When you are working with cells, you can't see anything. You're not working with anything except you see your results all the way at the end after your 16-hour experiment, after your 2-day experiment. It allows me to put hope, but also be diligent in my time and allow me to continue trying. And then I see the results, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and if it doesn't, I just do it again. And that practice has taught me to persevere. And I think that is something that I mentioned in terms of what Ms. Griffin taught me is persevere in your academics regardless of where you are. And that is something that I am trying to do for my future career in terms of, am I becoming an individual with perseverance, with resilience, with diligence? Am I pursuing something because I genuinely want to and not because the world is telling me to do it? That's something that I am trying to acquire. I think another important characteristic is to live with integrity. As I am working in professional settings and as I am working with so many different types of people, I've realized where I have made mistakes or areas where I have been hurt by people. But rather than holding on to my pride or rather than holding on to my grudges, I think one thing I have done is to have those harder conversations in terms of going to them, expressing my apologies if I did something wrong, taking ownership of my flaws and asking what can I do to become better or what can I do in the future so I don't repeat these mistakes again. I don't think mistakes are bad. Actually, mistakes helps me to become the individual that I hope to become, as well as learning from my mistakes. It helps you to grow. But also, do I have the heart posture in terms of reflection, in personal reflection? And do I also have the ability to show grace to those who might have hurt me? And rather than being like, you did this, like, rather than confronting them, can I show love to them? I think especially in a professional setting, relationships are the most important thing. And how you go about a relationship when a conflict arises, or how you congratulate someone when something good happens is something that I'm constantly learning, but something that is very important. And those are the areas that I have been working on to prepare myself for my future career. Please like and subscribe. See you at Manna!